Now, pointing at a picture P, man Q says that he is the son of only daughter of my father in law. How is Q, the man, related to the person in the picture P? So there's a picture and there's someone in this picture, all right, and this someone is the only son, he is the only daughter, he is the son of only daughter. So he is a son and he is the son of the only daughter, right, of the only daughter of whom? Of the father-in-law. The father-in-law whose only daughter, so she is the only daughter, and his son is being pointed out by someone else, right? So who could it be? She is the only daughter, and he is pointing at this guy and says that this guy is his father-in-law. Then he is the father of this this person, the son. Father, he is father, she is the mother, and he's their son. Now, soft drinks sector has shown good growth in profits over past few years. Therefore, we can conclude that each individual soft drink company is making good profits. The above argument is an example of which kind of fallacy? That's the fallacy of division. Fallacy of division. This assumption may not be true because the profitability of each company may vary, right? And then you have, which of the following statements are logically equivalent? So, no airplanes are electric vehicles. All non-electric vehicles are non-airplanes. No electric vehicles are aeroplanes. And all airplanes are non-electric vehicles. All airplanes. No airplanes are electric vehicles. No electric vehicles are airplanes. And all airplanes are non-electric vehicles. So A, C, and D. No airplanes are electric vehicles, and no electric vehicles are airplanes, and all airplanes are non-electric vehicles. A, C, and D. Now, if the statement no aeroplanes are electric vehicles is given as true, then which of the following statements can be immediately inferred to be true? It's that some aeroplanes are not electric vehicles. If no aeroplanes are electric vehicles is true, then which of the following statements can be immediately inferred to be true? No aeroplanes are electric vehicles. Here. So this is given as true, then what would be false would be this. And this would be true, right? Some are not. So no aeroplanes are electric vehicles is given as true. Which of the following statements can be immediately inferred to be true? That's some aeroplanes are not electric vehicles, which would come in this position. If this is true, it makes this to be true. If this is false, this makes this to be false. If this is false, if this is true, this makes this to be, this is the relation. And both cannot be true. A and E, they both cannot be true at the same time. I and O, these both cannot be false at the same time. Now, which of the following statements are so related that one is the denial or the negation of the other? One is the denial or negation of the other. Following statements are so related that one is the denial or negation of the other. This means that all aeroplanes are polluting vehicles. No aeroplanes are polluting vehicles. Some aeroplanes are polluting vehicles and some aeroplanes are not polluting vehicles. I think this and this. So A and B only. According to the classical Indian school of logic, which of the following argument involves the fallacy of sadharan, that is the middle term being too wide? Sadharan. The hill has fire because it is knowable. According to the classical Indian school of logic, Nyaya, the fallacy of sadharan occurs when the middle term in syllogism is too wide or general, such as it encompasses too many things to be useful basis for drawing a conclusion. In the given argument, the hill has fire because it is knowable. The middle term knowable is too wide or general to establish a valid conclusion. The hill has smoke because it has fire. The sound is eternal because it is audible. The hill has fire because it is knowable. All things are non-eternal because they are knowable. While it may be true that fire is knowable, it does not follow that the hill necessarily has fire. This argument fails to establish a clear and specific relationship between the hill and the precise presence of fire. Now, what exactly is cloud computing? cloud computing resources that can be accessed on demand, like electricity from a utility. That's cloud computing. Cloud computing refers to the delivery of computing services over the internet, which can include servers, storage, databases, networking, software, analytics, and more. Rather than having to manage physical hardware and infrastructure on site, cloud computing allows users to access computing resources on demand from anywhere with an internet connection. AWS, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. Now, first statement: in an email system, BCC allows recipients to be visible to all other recipients of the message. That's not correct. And VoIP is the use of internet to make phone calls. That's true. So, in an email system, BCC allows recipients to be visible to all other recipients of the message is not correct. BCC stands for blind carbon copy, which is a feature in email systems that allows the sender to send a copy of an email to a recipient without including their email address in the to or CC fields. This means that the other recipients of the email will not see the person's email address. BCC is commonly used when the sender wants to keep their identity of some recipient confidential, or when they want to avoid cluttering the email with too many addresses. So BCC is actually to hide, right? Will not see. So BCC hide email. Okay. Now, using broadband to connect to the internet has many benefits. Which of the following statements are true in this context? So this connection allows a wireless connection, correct? You are always connected to the internet, correct? And this connection does not allow you to use the land phone at the same time as being connected to the internet is not correct. You can be connected to the internet at the time when you are using the land phone. So that's not correct. Now, which of the following statements about networked computers are true? Network users can communicate by email and instant messenger, correct? Files can be easily shared between users, not correct. They can be shared between users, so that is correct. And viruses cannot be spread to other computers throughout a computer network. Well, that's not correct. Cannot be spread to other computers through a computer network. Well, that's not correct, because it can spread. And it is possible for many users to access and share one printer on a network. That is correct. Which of the following are features that allow you to manage the Windows desktop environment? That's creating shortcut, renaming folders, video conferencing. You cannot video conference. This is not a feature to manage the Windows desktop environment. And creating auto shapes, even that is not correct. Creating auto shapes. Adjusting icon size, that's correct. So creating shortcuts, renaming folders, and adjusting icon size, not creating auto shapes. The next is turbulent and rapidly flowing waters are generally depleted in oxygen. That's not correct. Adding organic materials such as sewage or paper pulp to water stimulates activity and oxygen consumption by decomposers. That's correct. True. Meaning of tsunami is harbor wave. Tsunami are often called harbor waves because they are most commonly observed on shallow waters near shorelines and in harbors. Harbor wave, the term is actually a misnomer as tsunamis are not necessarily created in harbors, nor are they actual waves caused by winds. Instead, they are typically caused by large undersea earthquakes, landslides, or volcanic eruptions that displace large amounts of water, creating a series of waves that propagate outward from the source. As these waves approach shallow water near shorelines, they become compressed and increase in height, which can cause devastating damage to coastal communities. The term tsunami comes from the Japanese word tsu, meaning harbor, and nami, meaning wave, which reflects the common observation of these destructive waves in Japanese harbors. Now, statement 1, International Solar Alliance was launched on the sidelines of COP24. I don't think so. Both are false, right? And ISA was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of France Emmanuel Macron. Not correct because it wasn't the president but the Prime Minister. I guess so. And not COP24 but COP21 in 2015. Okay, now hazard identification, dose response assessment, exposure assessment, risk characterization. Now, determining the size and nature of the population that has been exposed to toxicants, estimation of the magnitude of public health problem, characterizing the relationship between the dose received and adverse health effect, and process of determining whether or not a particular chemical is linked to a particular health effect. So let's see. Hazard identification, process of determining whether or not a particular chemical is linked to a particular health effect. That's hazard identification. Dose response assessment. Now, characterizing the relationship between the dose received and the adverse health effect. Relationship between the dose and the adverse health effect is dose response assessment. Then exposure assessment, determining the size and nature of the population that has been exposed to toxicants. That's exposure assessment. And risk characterization is the estimation of the magnitude of the public health problem. Magnitude of the public health problem. That's characterization of the risk characterization. Now, hazard identification. This step involves identifying which hazards are present and evaluating their potential to cause harm. This is typically done by reviewing available data on toxicity of the substance and any known exposure pathways. The goal is to determine which populations are at risk and which health effects may occur. Dose response assessment, the relationship exposure assessment. This step involves quantifying the exposure of the population to the hazard. Risk characterization involves combining the information from the previous steps to estimate the overall risk posed by the hazard. And then, which of the following volatile organic compounds are emitted from anthropogenic sources only? So that's B and E, benzene and toluene. They come, these volatile organic compounds are emitted from anthropogenic sources, benzene and toluene, not methane, not terpene, and not isoprene. VOCs are organic chemicals that have a high vapor pressure at room temperature. They are emitted from both natural and anthropogenic sources such as plants, wildfires, and various human activities, including transportations, industrial processes, and the use of solvents and chemicals in the households. Anthropogenic sources. Some common VOCs emitted from anthropogenic sources include benzene, toluene, and xylene. So, benzene, toluene, and xylene. These come from anthropogenic sources, right? Xylene, formaldehyde, and various types of solvents. So even formaldehyde comes from is a volatile organic compound that comes from anthropogenic sources. These compounds have been linked to various health and environmental problems, including air pollution, smog formation, and respiratory issues. Isoprene is emitted not only from anthropogenic sources but also from natural sources such as trees and vegetation. So, isoprene is not a correct option. Benzene is primarily emitted from anthropogenic sources such as fuel combustion and industrial processes. So, benzene is one of the options. Primarily emitted from anthropogenic sources such as fuel combustion and industrial processes. Terpene is emitted from both natural and anthropogenic sources. It is found in many plants and is also used in the production of some household products. That's terpene. So terpene it is produced from both the sources, natural and anthropogenic. And then you have methane, which is a greenhouse gas and is emitted from both natural and anthropogenic sources such as agriculture, livestock, and energy sector. And toluene is primarily emitted from anthropogenic sources such as fuel combustion and industrial processes. That's toluene. Primarily from anthropogenic sources such as fuel combustion and industrial processes. So toluene, benzene, and xylene, formaldehyde. Then you have now, which of the following education commissions in India noted that it is obvious that if higher education is not radically improved, our administration and technical progress and our intellectual standards and social advance will all be most seriously handicapped? It was Kothari Commission. Kothari Commission, also known as the Education Commission 1964 to 66, was appointed by Indian government to examine the state of education in the country and suggest reforms. The commission was chaired by D.S. Kothari, an eminent physicist and educationist. The commission's report, commonly known as the Kothari Commission Report, highlighted the urgent need to improve the quality of higher education in India. The report noted that unless higher education was not radically improved, India's progress in administration, technical fields, intellectual standards, and social development will be seriously handicapped. The Kothari Commission report suggested several measures to improve higher education in India, including expansion of higher education to cater a growing demand of skilled professionals, introduction of new courses and disciplines to keep pace with changing societal needs and technological advancements, establishment of autonomous universities to promote academic freedom and encourage innovation, improving the quality of education, teaching and education research by providing better infrastructure resources and training opportunities, strengthening the linkages between universities and industry to promote innovation and entrepreneurship. Radhakrishnan Commission was appointed in 1948 to make recommendations on the organization and development of university education in India. Hunter Commission was appointed in 1882 to inquire into the state of education in India and suggest reforms. The University Education Commission of 1948 was also appointed to suggest reforms in the university education system in India. Now, central universities established under an act of the parliament, that's correct. The Prime Minister of India acts as the visitor of the central university, not correct. Prime Minister is the visitor of the central university, not correct. Central university is established under an act of parliament. Central universities in India are established under the Central Universities Act 2009, which is an act of the Parliament. The Prime Minister of India, the President, not the Prime Minister, acts as the visitor of the Central University. The President is the ceremonial head of the university and has the power to review its functioning and make necessary recommendations. The President appoints the Vice Chancellor of the Central University, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the university and responsible for its day-to-day administration. Now, which of the following major initiatives have been taken by UGC with a mission to address ethical practices in research and publications? So, Mulya Pravah, GARP, that is Guidance Document on Good Academic and Research Practices, and CARE, that is Consortium for Academic Research and Ethics. So these are the three which have been, these are the three major initiatives taken up by UGC with a mission to address ethical practices in research and publications. GARP, Guidance Document on Good Academic and Research Practices. Guidance Document on Good Academic and Research Practices, and CARE, that is Consortium for Academic Research and Ethics. Consortium for Academic Research and Ethics, and Mulya Pravah. Mulya Pravah. Okay. Mulya Pravah, online platform developed by UGC for the identification of quality research work. GARP, Guidance Document on Good Academic and Research Practices to promote ethical practices. CARE, Consortium for Academic Research and Ethics, established by UGC to promote ethical practices.